Second year media students, this is the second film studies assignment. Now, as always, I've hyperlinked you here to the website to get extra help on the actual assignment as well. There you will find the Prezi and some video walkthroughs as well. Use them. Now, you've been given two assignments on the 20th of April. The first one is the genre podcast for Unit 6 Critical Approaches, which is a group project. This one's individual and it's also due in on the 11th of May, 3 weeks to manage your time between these two deadlines for me. There'll be time in my lessons and in blended learning as well. This is of course for your extended diploma, which is the equivalent of getting 3 A-levels. Unit 26 Film Studies Outcome 2. There'll only be one more assignment after this, which is the Audiences TV piece, which will cover outcomes 3 and 4. This covers outcome 2. I am, of course, your assessor. Contact me on social media or Google Hangouts, preferably, if you need any help before the deadline. So, Exit 6 Film Festival. Wonderful film festival set up by some friends of mine. They are looking for people to help them out. If you're really serious about working in moving image media and film, then this is a unique opportunity to get work experience for Exit 6 Film Festival. Whether you're going to be contributing on the day, helping people to find the pop-up cinemas and screenings throughout Basingstoke, whether it be submitting your own work, whether it be you working on the blog to actually write, contribute, posts, social media, vlogs, behind the scenes documentaries, promoting the events. It's a good opportunity for you to actually work alongside Mark and the team at Exit 6 and the sponsors to produce work that will be seen by a larger audience. Let me know if you want to get involved. Now this assignment is going to be asking you to produce a production piece for their blog. The best pieces will be put onto the blog of Exit 6. Now, you can use any form of media you want for this. I don't mind. If you like using video, like a video essay, as you've done before for your music video case study, perfectly fine. If you want to do a podcast because you like using radio and audio to articulate your points, do a podcast. If you want to do a blog, using Blogger, WordPress or Tumblr, collating your thoughts in different posts, perfectly fine. If you want to use Instagram, create a new account and then create a series of posts using video and image and comments underneath, perfectly fine. YouTube, if that is preferable, if you like vlogging. I hear one of you in the room likes vlogging, so maybe use YouTube for this assignment. So, within this assignment you're going to be comparing how productions have changed between two films from different decades. Taking one film from an earlier time and one film from a more recent time and showing how things have changed between the two decades. Now, the purpose of this work is to stress the importance of how different contexts and factors influence the productions of the films they produce for an audience of film enthusiasts and creators. So showing just how much things have changed in relation to these points here. Now, production context means this: when it was created and where it was created. Look at Hollywood films, Bollywood, British, developing countries, such as third world countries. We'll learn about that in the lecture. International co-productions, increasingly common because films outside of the States rarely get financed with just one country's backing. Often has to be a collaboration between different countries, 2, 3, 4 or more, to pool their resources together to co-create a production. And of course indie films. Tell me about these different contexts and how films made in these different contexts are different. Tell me how the different contexts of, I don't know, being made in Sudan as opposed to being made in Britain actually change the film. Does it change the film when the film is made in a different context? It does, I'm telling you, but you've got to tell me how it changes the context. Once you've done that first part, you then need to pick your two films. Now, your two films can be from any production context, it's up to you entirely. Compare two films from two different decades and explain, don't just describe, explain, give examples, back it up, how these film productions that you've chosen were impacted and eventually formed. Impacted and then eventually formed through the different numerous variables that impact and change film productions. So, finances, how much money was available. Look at things like Box Office Mojo to help you with this. The technologies at the time. Was it analog? Was it digital? Was it 16mm? Was it using different lenses? Was it using 3D? Tell me. Distribution and exhibition. How were they distributed and sent out to their audience? Was it cinema? Was it on Netflix? How was it exhibited? How was it shown? How did it reach the audience? What were the trends in the industry at the time? So was there a trend for sci-fi because it was the late 60s and man had just landed on the moon? Was it in the mid-noughties where post 9/11 we were looking for heroes somewhat in our culture and the rise of superheroes coincided with that? What were the trends in the industry at the time your two films were produced? What genres were popular at the time? Tell me about the stars within your chosen films and the power they wielded. What sort of star were they? What did they represent to their culture as a star, as a linchpin, as a figurehead? What were the social issues, the political issues at the time of production? Did that tie into the film's narrative or theme in any way? What was the culture and politics of the country in which they were produced? Did that inform or change or shape the film in any way? Any regulatory issues? The BBFC site is really useful for this, letting you know what cuts, edits, suggestions were made pertaining to the film's final cut. What synergies were there between the film that you've chosen and other films surrounding it? What I mean by that is sequels, prequels, remakes, reboots. Does it tie into a greater narrative, a greater story? Typically that is the case in more modern times. What synergies were there between your films that you've chosen and other films? Lastly, the nature and structure of the industry that produced the films. Now, was it in the Hollywood studio system when it was more of a perhaps vertical production, distribution, exhibition model, or is it more modern times where it's perhaps a bit more horizontal in the way that films are produced? You're going to be submitting your completed film production piece, which can be in any form of media you like, on the 11th of May, the same day as your genre podcast. This is an individual piece of work, your film production piece. The genre podcast is a team piece of work. 11th of May, both bits of work are due into Google Classroom. Some links here to help you. Some support from directors and Exit 6 co-founders Jeff Harmer and Mark Brennan will be available for you throughout the project. You can tweet them for any help and guidance throughout the project. Mark is wonderful. A minute before 5 o'clock is when I want the work due in, okay, on the 11th of May. Your feedback will be here, your grade will be here, and here's the differentiation between the pass, merit and distinction criteria for you to consider. Please sign here and date it once you turn in your work. Any questions for me, please let me know. It's really important you sign here at the bottom to verify this is your work and you haven't stolen it from other people doing the same unit on the internet. Yes, I know they exist. Don't nick them. Don't nick them. Make it your own. Research it. It's an interesting project if you choose the two films correctly. Two films you're interested in delving into and finding out more about, okay? Any questions, let me know. Otherwise, this is due in 3 weeks' time on the 11th of May. Good luck.